Awesome. So I'm going to start off just by thanking you guys again for joining us. I know we started a little bit early here, but for you guys who are tuning in right now, I just want to thank you guys. This is the last Roomvo University webinar for 2021, which is really crazy to say. I can't believe it's already the middle of October, but I can't think of a better way to wrap up this year's series than with a workshop on looking ahead. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you plan ahead? How do you make sure that that blueprint for success is really in place? Before we get there, and before we look to the future, I just want to take a quick look back at the year that we had here. I'm going to list off some of the things that at Roomvo we accomplished this year. And I'm going to preface it by saying that it truly is only because of you guys. This year we surpassed 5,000 users and over 1 billion products were viewed in Roomvo. We gave you guys access to Roomvo Pro, which means that you and your team have the ability to manage the brands that are in your visualizer anytime. You don't wait for any team to do that. We redesigned the Roomvo Assistant widget based on your feedback, introduced the Premium Pass, which gives you guys custom branding and lead capture within Roomvo. We also introduced Roomvo Assistant Plus. That gives you 50 of your own private label SKUs in the visualizer. You guys asked for all of those things, but we weren't done. We launched Roomvo Sites, powerful flooring websites that start at $20 a month. Roomvo Catalogs, which are the most affordable, powerful, and up-to-date catalogs in the entire industry with access to products from 100 different suppliers. We improved realism across the board. We provide complimentary sales team training, and we've had several Roomvo University webinars co-hosted by Jim this past year. And throughout all of that, we grew our dealer support team exponentially, which means that despite that growth, we can still offer same-day phone and email support to all of you guys. I hope you guys got lost and confused in that list because we did a lot, and I'll send a recording of this after. You guys might have to listen to it again, but I'm going to say it one last time. All of those things are only because of you. And we're going to double down in 2022, and I'm going to share more of what we're going to do in 2022 at the end of this webinar. But you didn't come to hear me speak, so I'm going to turn it over to Jim. I'm going to intro him first. Jim Augustus Armstrong is an internationally known trainer and coach for flooring dealers. He's the founder and president of Flooring Success Systems, a marketing services and coaching program for dealers. He's the author of 3 flooring industry books, including How Floor Dealers Can Beat the Boxes and Escape the Cheap Rat Race of Doom Forever. Jim has spoken at flooring industry events like Surfaces, Coverings, and Domotex, and he's the marketing mastery columnist for Floor Covering News. He produces and co-hosts the monthly FC News Marketing Mastery webinars. Since 2007, thousands of dealers across the US and Canada have relied on Jim's methods to get more customers, get higher margins, gain an unfair advantage over the box stores, and live the lifestyle they deserve. He and his wife and business partner, Joe Lynn, live in Colorado, where Jim enjoys playing guitar, fly fishing, and as you guys just saw, skydiving. So I'm going to turn it over.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brandon. Are you able to hear me? I just lost audio on you, Brandon. Can't hear you. Click your mic. You've muted your, click your mic.
I can hear you now.
There we go. Now I can hear you.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. You know what? Technology is awesome. And for the little snafus that happen when you're doing a Zoom webinar, compare that to everybody trying to fly to the same place to hear us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's pretty awesome what we're able to do. So as we said in the promos, this is not going to be a sit and listen. You're gonna work, and you're gonna actually take part in what we're doing today. So we're gonna start it off with a question. How many here feel like they work too many hours? Put a yes in the question box if you feel like you're putting in too many hours and you'd like to cut it. So let's put in the question box. Yeah, Michael says yes. Who else? Anyone else? Anyone else here feel like they're working too many hours? Put a yes in the question box, or a no. If you love the amount of hours that you're working, put a no in there. Okay, we're getting more yes. Okay, all right. So too many days, Michael says. All right, so in flooring, overwork is epidemic. And I know this because I've been working with floor dealers since 2007. And it's so common for dealers to put in, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. I've worked with dealers who are approaching 100 hours a week. Hasn't happened a lot, but I've worked with one or two. I mean, the reason you got into business for yourself instead of having a regular 9-to-5 job was because you probably saw that flooring could provide a better opportunity for you to reach the goals that you have, to provide an awesome life for you, for your family, and you had a better opportunity, owning your own business rather than working for somebody else. But for too many dealers, that dream of business ownership often turns into a nightmare. They wind up with a success that they don't want. They wind up with, making money. They're making money, but the business owns them rather than the other way around. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work through some key principles and some strategies and some systems that'll help you, put you on the path to taking control of your business, so you can realize the dreams that got you into this, started your own flooring business or took over an existing one to begin with. So I'm going to pull up, Brandon, are you able to see my PowerPoint there?
All good. It's on the screen.
Okay, fantastic. So we're going to talk about how to cut your work hours in half and get your life back using the Ideal Business, Ideal Lifestyle Blueprint. Principles and strategies from this blueprint that I've been teaching floor dealers for years, and that I've used myself in my own life and my own businesses. All right, so as anybody who showed up early got to watch a video of me wingsuiting. For those who just joined, a quick recap. I started skydiving a couple of years ago. It had been a dream of mine for 4, 5, 6 years. And my goal was to start wingsuiting. And if you don't know what that is, look it up on YouTube. And as of June of this year, I did my first wingsuit flight, and I've got over 400 skydives, and about 103 of them are wingsuit jumps. And, in order to, as I've progressed in the sport of skydiving, it's solidified different success principles. And I now include those every time I do a training. And so one that I want to talk to you about is and I call them skydiving lessons. So you guys are all going to get a skydiving lesson today too. Another Roomvo exclusive. So, and that is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you're about to hurl yourself out of an airplane, when you first start doing it, it's very uncomfortable. For me, it was terrifying. And I had to overcome, jillion-year-old self-preservation instincts, in order to jump out of that door and fall. And, Will Smith, if you ever get a chance, after this is over, Google Will Smith skydiving and listen to him talk about it. He's also done at least one skydive. And what he says is God put the best things in life on the other side of terror. And what's the point of that? What does that have to do with today? Well, I'm going to give you some systems, some guidelines, some approaches that may not feel comfortable for you. And that is actually a good thing. If you start to feel discomfort, if you start to feel fear, that's a signpost that you're on the way to something new, okay? So if you just feel comfortable, that means you're just doing the same thing. And for everybody that's here watching this either live or on the recording, I'm betting that you want something different out of your business. So when you feel that discomfort, you feel like, oh man, could I ever really do that? Embrace that feeling, because it's a signpost that you're on your way to new territory, new levels of success that you've never experienced before. Now, I want to cover, and by the way, Brandon and I are going to keep an eye on the question box. So if anybody has questions, put it in there. I'm also going to be having you do things during the workshop and looking for responses. So keep your typing fingers ready. Also, you should have something out to take notes down, either, on your computer or a notepad or something. So get that out if you don't have it out yet. But I'm going to talk about first 3 concepts that changed my life. The first is, what is the purpose of your business? And the answer to that question dictates everything. So in the Q&A box, put what you believe the purpose of your business is. And we're going to take a minute with this. Put in the Q&A box, what is the purpose of your business? And I'm going to wait a minute. And by the way, Brandon knows I'm not shy about calling on people. Okay? This is a workshop, not a class. So I will call on you if I don't get any answers. What is the purpose of your business?
As the co-host, am I exempt from being called on, or should I also be?
Hey, no, I'd love to hear from you.
I got to be on my
maybe. Okay, so Robin says to provide great service and a good price and customer retention. Anonymous says provide a service to my customers. That service is selling floor covering products. Okay. Good price and great customer service. Anonymous says that. To generate income and provide job opportunities for my local community. Okay. These are all good answers, but they're not but I'm going to submit that is not the purpose of your business. And I'll tell you some other things that aren't the purpose of your business. To provide employment, to pay taxes, to give to charity, to provide flooring are not the primary purpose of your business. Now, those things are all important. Those are all important. And some of them even necessary, and some of them even necessary to staying out of jail, especially the part about paying taxes. You got to do all that stuff. But I submit that it is not the purpose of your business. In my opinion, the purpose of your business is to fund and facilitate your ideal lifestyle. Okay? In fact, I'll submit that the reason you went into business was not to provide employment, pay taxes, sell flooring, but because you had a dream for your life. That's why you went into business. Yes, those other things are important. They're critical. But in my opinion, if you're not funding and facilitating your ideal lifestyle, in other words, you don't have the freedom to do the things that have meaning and purpose and value to you outside of work, then what's the point? And I'll take it a step further. I've worked with so many dealers who are on the verge of burnout, literally trying to find a way to sell their business because they're putting in so many hours. They're putting in so much, they're putting in 50, 60, 70 hours a week, providing employment, selling flooring products, providing flooring for their clients and paying taxes. They're spending so many hours doing that they want to quit. Okay. So how does it help your community and your employees and the government if you wind up leaving the business because you're burned out? And if you stay in the business in a state of burnout and stress, how does that help your work environment, the job environment? I've worked with dealers who were so on the edge of burnout that they begin to not be very pleasant business owners. And they admitted it to themselves. They go, man, I find myself snapping at my installers or at my team and, okay? Now, if we flip that around and we make your business so that it's providing a great life for you and for your family, you're still able to provide employment and great service for your clients and great products. But now you're coming from a place of abundance, a place of peace, a place of prosperity, and it changes everything. It's going to allow you to stay in the game for the long haul, okay? That's why I make a big deal about this. So that's the first principle that changed my life. It gave me permission to work the hours that I wanted, and in turn, grant that permission to the dealers that I work with, okay? So I want you to give you officially permission to build a business that provides an awesome life for you, okay? Second principle is big rocks, right? So first thing to write down is funding and facilitating your ideal lifestyle. The other is the big rocks. And what big rocks are, I'll illustrate with a little story. So imagine that you're standing in front of a table, and on that table is a big glass jar. And next to it are three big rocks, a pile of gravel, a pile of sand, and a container of water. And your job is to get everything to fit into that big glass jar. So you start by putting the gravel in, then you pour in some in the sand, and then you try and put the big rocks in. And you're able to sort of get one of the big rocks into the glass jar, but it's sticking out of the top and there's no room for the other two big rocks. So you decide to start over again. So you pour everything out, and this time you put the three big rocks into the glass container first. Then you pour in the gravel, and the gravel sifts down around the big rocks. And then you pour in the sand, and that sifts down between the big rocks and the gravel. And then you're even able to pour the water in it. Everything fits. Okay, well, what the big rocks are is those are the big dreams and goals that you have for your life. They're the things that are important to you. They're the big things that you want to do with your business, okay? Now, the gravel, the sand, and the water represents all the day-to-day stuff, returning phone calls, emails, handling customer complaints, handling sales, handling inventory, and the 101 things that go into running a flooring business. And the mistake that most dealers make is they put in all that other stuff first, and they try to fit the important things in their life in the edges and the space that's left over. And the problem is it doesn't fit, almost never fits, okay? The key to getting the big important things done with your life and in your business is to put those things in first, and then everything else fills in around it, okay? All right, so that's the big rocks. The third concept is time blocking. Time blocking are appointments that you make with yourself to accomplish your big rocks. So for example, let's say that you wanted to implement a selling system, so that a sales system, so that you don't have to be on the sales floor anymore. Well, you would make appointments with yourself during the week, 1, 2, 3 hour appointments for you to put that selling system together. And we'll dig into this a little more in detail in a few minutes. But these appointments are sacrosanct. They're uninterrupted. You turn your phone off, you turn your social media off, go to a coffee shop where you won't be disturbed or somewhere else, so that it's as sacred as the time you would spend selling to a client in their home. You know, if you're in a client's home getting ready to sell a $10,000 wood flooring job, would you let yourself be constantly interrupted by phone calls and emails and checking social media and no way. You'd be focused on that client. Everything else waits until the appointment's over. Well, these big rock appointments that you're doing, the time blocking, it's the same thing. You've got to treat it with the same respect, okay? All right, so now we're going to talk about the 5 steps to take an extra day off in 30 days. Now, we're going to start with the name of this webinar, this workshop is how to cut your work hours in half, okay? But you're not going to do it all at once. You're going to do it in steps. And so a great first goal to have is to take an extra day off each week, free up that day, or maybe it's to free up half a day, okay? But we're going to start with for today's example, take 1 extra day off a week, okay? So we can that means freeing up 8 to 10 hours a week, and you can take them all off on the same day, or you could spread it out. So instead of quitting at 6 every day, you quit at 4, or instead of quitting at 5, you quit at 3, okay? So different ways to slice it and dice it, but we're going to free up a day a week, okay? So the first step is to define what your big rock is. Okay, so what I want you to write down now is, what would you do if you had an extra day off per week? What would you do with that time? And I want it to be something that's fun, exciting, something that gets your heart pounding. You go, yeah, that would be great. Maybe it's playing golf. I've had a number of dealers make that their big rock that they want to do with the extra day. And maybe it's a couple of things. Maybe it's to spend time with your spouse in the morning and play golf in the afternoon. Maybe it's to go fishing. Maybe it's to coach your kids' sports team. I want you to write it down right now. And I'll give you a minute here. Write down the big rock. And this isn't written in stone. You can change it later. Just what sounds like fun to you. And I'm going to have you put it in the question box. So once you write it down, type it into the question, type it into the Q&A box. Okay, everybody, come on back. And oh, we got some good answers here. Sandy says she would spend it with her grandchildren. I love that. Robin says she'd like to be home more. Great. Anonymous says travel, spa day, shopping day, and do volunteer work. Okay, beautiful. Michael says I have 2, golfing and bike riding. Love it. Brian says time with family. Fantastic. Darlene says she'd like to have lunch and lunch and travel with friends. So spending more time with friends. You know, a month and a half ago, lost 2 very dear friends of mine. They were young, and it was unexpected. And I tell you, one of them, I had spent the last 3 years, I'd been friends with her since I was about 13 years old. Her extended family was like a surrogate family for me, incredible family. And for the last 3 years, I'd spent a lot of time on the, regular time on the phone with her and chatting and all of that. I'm so grateful for that. I didn't know what was coming. And I'm just so grateful. So I really like that lunch and travel with friends. Make time for the the people in your life that are important to you. Anonymous says charter boat fishing. Yes, you've hit one of my my passion. I love fishing. Here in Colorado, it's mostly fly fishing for me, but I love fishing. Okay, those are great. Okay. So now the second thing what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create space in your business for you to so that you're able to take that time. And here's the thing, and when I say take time away from your business, I don't mean where you're constantly having to answer the phone and check texts and look at emails and constantly call the office, because then you're really not away. You're physically away from work, but you're not emotionally and mentally away. And I want you to be able, for this day a week, to be able to completely unplug, completely get away from it. Okay. So I want you to take a minute and write down all the activities that you do in your business. And you can see kind of an example here, you know, sales, answering phones, email, selling, quotes, bookkeeping, whatever it is, and put in the approximate number of hours per week that you spend doing those things. And you might have, this is a short list. Your list might be, you know, 15 items long. But take a minute right now and just list it out, just like I've got here on this slide, what you're doing and how much time you're spending doing it. And you may not know exactly, just put you know, your best guess as to how many hours a week. And by the way, I'm going to give you after we do this, I've got a tool that's going to help you with your prioritization. So go ahead and do that. Take a couple of minutes, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Now, one thing that I've had dealers do is they might know that they spend, you know, 6 hours a week or 8 hours or 15 hours a week answering phones, returning emails, and, you know, filing. I don't know. And so we kind of group those together into administrative. So if you're not sure on like answering phones and email, if those kind of get lumped together, you have a certain amount of time you spend doing it, that's okay. You can lump them together. But to the best that you can, best degree that you can, separate them out. And you're going to see why in a minute. Okay, we'll take one more minute with this. But now you should be estimating how much time per week you spend on all of these things. And what I'm going to ask you for is to identify which item on your list you spend the most time on, the biggest chunk of time. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. Maybe you're doing a lot of selling. Maybe you're doing a lot of quotes or estimates. Maybe you spend a lot of time doing project coordination. Look for something where you're spending 8 or more hours a week doing. Okay, that's what we're looking. That's what we're on the hunt for right now. Look for something you're spending 8 or more hours a week doing. All right, come on back and put in the question box the one thing that you're spending the most time doing. Put it in the Q&A box. or the top two things. And about how many hours a week you're spending doing it. So Michael, you put selling and estimating, put in how many hours about how many hours a week you're spending doing that along with it. Test says, Jim, you're a big fly fishing fan. Have you seen A River Runs Through It? Oh my gosh, I've worn out DVDs watching that. I love that movie. Okay. Sandy says she spends about 20 hours a week doing proposals. Michael says he spends 15 selling and 20 estimating. Anonymous says estimating about 20 hours a week. Okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so good job on that, guys. And we're gonna talk about what to do with that in just a minute, but I want to give you guys a little tool. Now, when I am doing private coach, I do a lot of private coaching with flooring dealers. And this, by the way, this process that I'm walking you through is sort of a condensed version of what I do with them. This is exactly the process I take them through, just sort of condensed so we can fit it into an hour. But here's something you can do on your own, is the 1 week task journal. Whenever I take on a new flooring coaching client who's needing to free up time, I have them do the 1 week task journal. And what you do is you keep a notepad with you. You block out your day hour by hour, okay? So from 8 to 9, and you write that in your notebook. And then at the top of every hour, you write in, what did I spend that hour doing? And it might be 2 or 3 different things. It might be estimating or installing, or it might be emails and returning phone calls. Whatever it is, you're going to keep a log. And then every 1 to 2 hours, just set an alarm, set a timer on your smartphone. And every 1 to 2 hours, go back and fill in what you did, okay? Then analyze how you spent your week. And so you can highlight the different task groups with different colors. So if it's sales, maybe you highlight it in green, emails in blue, phones in red, quotes in purple, whatever. Okay. And then what you're going to do is add up the hours for each group. So you're going to, your sales, 20 hours, emails, whatever it winds up being. Okay. So if you're struggling with this, trying to figure out how you spend your week, this is an incredible exercise. And every time I do it with a dealer, they learn something about how they operate in their business. And one of the biggest things that I hear is, I had no idea I was wasting so much time on just little trivial stuff. Okay. So that's a good exercise. Okay. So step 3 is you're going to pick one task to delegate. All right. So Sandy, you're doing proposals for 20 hours. You're going to delegate that. Now, it might be, when I do this with flooring dealers, I'll look at the entire breakdown. So we're going back to analyzing it. I'm going to look at everything they do. And so in your case, Sandy, maybe you're doing 20 hours a week on proposals and 8 hours a week on the sales floor. Maybe this is just hypothetical. And maybe right now, your budget is such that you could hire a salesperson to cover for 8 hours, but proposals are, not something that is in the budget to pay for at this point. You get where I'm going with this? So what we're looking for is something that you can offload and delegate, but that you can pay for and is within the budget to handle that. Now, what I would recommend to you, Sandy, is if you're wanting to free up 20 hours a week, is if you're able to hire somebody who can do proposals, if you have that in, your revenue such that you can do that, that you get somebody, you hire somebody and begin training them. If you're not quite there budget-wise, then implement marketing strategies and selling strategies to get to where you have the budget to bring that person on. And then the same thing with you, Michael, for selling and estimating. You know, maybe you can offload, if you're doing 15 hours a week of selling, maybe you've got a part-time salesperson, you can give them an extra day a week, okay? And if they're on commission, it shouldn't be a big out-of-pocket expense initially because they're gonna get paid as they're selling, okay? So there's a lot of different ways to slice this and dice this. I'm just giving you some ways to think about this. Again, this is something I do with the dealers that I work with, and we really analyze where they're spending their hours. And so you can do the same kind of analysis and create a plan for freeing up that time, okay? So you're gonna delegate. Selling, if it's quoting, whatever it is, create a path so that you can get that off your plate. Now, here's some additional tips on choosing which tasks to delegate. Look at tasks that are easiest to delegate. You know, I had a dealer recently who was putting in, you know, 10, 12 hours a week on bookkeeping. And that was an easy one. We were able to hire, and you can get an outside bookkeeper. There's very little reason for a bookkeeper to come to your store. You can, there are bookkeepers that will do that, and they'll physically come to your place of business and you can set that up. But bookkeeping can be done virtually. I use a virtual bookkeeper. I've never met her, but she does it all. And get that off your plate. And that for that dealer, he was able to hire a bookkeeper, and boom, instantly freed up 10 to 12 hours a week. Look at the tasks you're spending the most time with. We talked about that, and then find one task that's taking up 8 to 10 hours, okay? Now, you wanna create a written system. If it's not documented, it's not a system. You wanna get it out of your head and into some kind of a document. And, you know, if you haven't seen The Founder, it's about McDonald's, I'd recommend that you watch that. You really see how systems work in real time. McDonald's, you know, is kind of the, well, they invented the fast food industry essentially by creating a system that was repeatable. It was done the same way over and over again. And you can do this for your sales team, for back office support, for your warehouse person. And I'm going to show you a simple way to create a documented system. And there's two parts to a documented system. Every system you look at is essentially going to boil down to these two things: a set of instructions and a checklist. Now, whether those are in a software program or on a printed, if they're on a whiteboard, you look at most systems in a business, and this is essentially what it boils down to. Okay? So I'm going to give you a real simple example on how to do this. Is opening the store, okay? That's something that's got to be done every day, and it's going to be done the same way. So here's the example of a checklist, okay? Unlock the front door, disarm the alarm, set the thermostat, turn on the lights, turn on the store sign, unlock the warehouse. Maybe it's, you know, brew a pot of coffee, maybe whatever the things are that have got to be done when somebody opens the store. So that's the checklist. Now here's an example of instructions. You take one item, each item on the checklist, and you create a detailed description of what that means. So disarm the alarm, located to the right of the front door. The alarm code is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully none of you have that as your alarm code. If the alarm goes off, call the alarm company, you know, at X number, and give them the emergency code or whatever it is. So what you would do is, for each one of these steps on the checklist, is create a detailed set of instructions. just like I've been. Now, this is super simple. And I did it this way on purpose because we've only got an hour together and I want you to get the concept. But that's essentially what's going to happen for everything that you do. The dealers in our flooring success systems have access to a system called the world-class installation system, where we have taken the entire process from the minute somebody walks in the front door, through the sales process, through the in-home estimate, through ordering the products, scheduling the installation, that whole long chain of events that happens, we have on an Excel spreadsheet in the form of a checklist, okay? And then in a small manual, each one of those items on the checklist corresponds to a set of instructions. Here's what that means, okay? Because after they learn the instructions, they know how to do it. They really just need the checklist so they don't miss anything. And that's essentially what a project coordinator does. It's essentially, here's all the things that'll happen through the 1, 2, or 3 weeks from the time someone walks in throughout the sales process, the installation process, then the follow-up afterwards, the in-home visit, and thank you gift, just everything's in there, okay? So you can do this for anything. And that's what's going to help you get freed up, because you're going to know it's going to be done consistently, same way every time. Okay? Now, there are parts of the system that are inherently more complicated, okay? That doesn't mean that you can't systemize them. I mean, you're not going to sit down with a salesperson and systemize every single word that comes out of their mouth when they talk to a new client or a prospect, right? It's not like that. But you can have the 5 things that the salesperson is responsible to do, okay? So it's striking that balance between, micromanaging and creating a workable system. All right, so the next thing that you're going to do, the final step, is to delegate the task. So Sandy, in terms of putting together proposals, you're going to put together a checklist of the things that get done during the proposal. Whatever materials they need to take with them to the proposal, the big steps that they go through. Now, I know that doing proposals and flooring, there's a big learning curve for that. And there's 101 little details. You're not going to type all that out, okay? I don't want you to worry about that. You're going to hit the high points. Here are the 8 big steps that go into creating a proposal. And then in those 8 steps or 7 steps or 10 steps, whatever it winds up being for you, Sandy, you're going to fill in the blanks in between those steps with some basic details on what you want done. Michael, same thing for you with estimating, and then also for selling. There's probably 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 kind of big steps that are done through the selling process. You meet with the client. You're going to take them through some sort of questionnaire. You're going to schedule an in-home appointment to do the measure, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to have those. And then in there's, you'll have a description of the things that you want done. For example, when the salesperson, what I train floor dealers to do is when a salesperson goes out to the house is to call, 10 minutes before they arrive, or text 10 minutes before they arrive. Park on the street, not in the driveway. When they get up to the door, knock on the door, take a couple of steps back so you're not looming in the doorway. Okay? Because most of the salespeople are men and most of the customers are women, and it can be intimidating, this big 6'3" guy looming in the doorway, right? Come in, put shoe covers on. Because when you put shoe covers on, you're instantly communicating to the client that you're a professional, that you care about their home, that you're going to be careful. Okay. So I hit the here's the major things I want you to do while you're in the home. And you can do that for each step of the process. Okay, now, 3 elements for successful delegation. Way too often, dealers tell people what outcome they want, and that's it. They'll say something like, you know, we need you to close more sales, or need you to, you know, keep your margins up, or we need you to, you know, fill in the blank, whatever the end result is. Well, that's only part of what your team needs to have the greatest success at what you're delegating to them. There's actually 3 things that you need. You need the tools to succeed, and that's your checklist and your set of instructions, training on how to use the tools, and then accountability. Okay? And all of these things can be accomplished in a weekly, like if you're training your sales team, a weekly sales team training, okay? You're gonna give them the tools to succeed. The tool that we train our dealers with and give them is a diagnostic selling process called the design audit. It's a step-by-step sales process. Train them on the tools. I'm sorry, give them the tools, then train them on how to use the tools. So using the salesperson example, we train them on each step of the sales process, and every week drill them on a different part of the sales process. When somebody walks in, the opening script, what do you say to new prospects to take control of the sales process, to create differentiation, to position yourself as a trusted advisor, and to command higher prices and ultimately close the sale at those higher prices, okay? Training on how to use the tools, and then accountability. Hey, how did the selling go this week? How many design audits did you do? Or how many diagnostic selling, how many times did you use the diagnostic selling process? How did it go? And those are going to help ensure that these things are getting used, that they're getting improved upon. You know, repetition is the mother of skill. So it gives you a chance to drill them again and again and again on things like the opening script, how to get them to agree to an in-home measure. When you're in the home, how to do things like, you know, inspect the vacuum cleaner, inspect the walk-off mats, look at the kind of cleaners that they're using, how to get permission to measure and inspect all the areas, not just the areas you're replacing, so you can look for upsell opportunities. All of these things can be put into a system. So you've got the tools, training on how to use each of those tools, and then accountability to use them the way that you've trained them, okay? What that's going to give you the ability to do, Michael, is when you hand off the selling to other people, you're going to know and have confidence that, hey, while you're out there on the golf course, when you decide to take Fridays off, so you go out on the golf course and you're out there working on your golf game, you don't have to worry that your salesperson is, you know, not doing a great job, because you've given him the tools to succeed. Okay. All right. So this is a case study. I'm going to go quickly now. This is an actual, I've changed the name here. I don't have this person's permission, but this is an actual dealer that I work with. Tom's a North Carolina floor dealer. He had a personal salary of over $400,000. He's what I call a successful slave, because even though he had that high salary, he was working 6 days a week, 60 plus hours a week. And his 30-day goal was to take an extra day off. He wanted to get his weekends free, quit coming in on Saturdays or Sundays. So he needs to cut 10 hours out of his work week. Now, it turned out after I did the analysis, the weekly task journal, turns out he was spending 2 hours a day in the warehouse, just managing his installers. Well, he already had a warehouse manager. He was just in there micromanaging, and he didn't feel confident in the systems that he'd set up for his warehouse manager. Okay, he didn't have the tools, the training on the tools, and the accountability. He just had given him, here's the end result that I want. And he lacked the confidence. He felt like he needed to be there every day. He also spent another hour a day doing these various administrative tasks that there was no reason on earth he should have been doing. So after we did the 1 week task journal, we identified those things, and that freed up, we identified 15 hours of work that he could quickly delegate. He didn't even have to hire anybody. Okay, you may find that, and this has happened a lot with dealers that I've coached, is they've got a day's worth of work that they're doing that they can delegate to people that are already on their team. Okay, that happens more often than not. Okay, either they can take someone from part-time and bump them to 3/4 time or full-time, or even just let them start doing their job. This guy had a warehouse manager that was already in there. He just needed to set him up with the systems so that he could have confidence enough that he didn't have to, show up every morning to be in there babysitting. So we offloaded the warehouse work with written processes, let the warehouse manager handle that. Instantly freed up 10 hours a week. The administrative tasks, he already had staff that could handle that, and he just offloaded those. And within 30 days, he had freed up not just 1 day, but 1.5 days. And the result is he sent me an email not long after that, and he was able to take weekends off with his daughters. They were like 6 years old at the time, twins. And he was just not able to spend time with them. And now he was. He sent me an email from Orlando because he'd taken his family on vacation to Disney World for the first time. He eliminated a ton of stress, and he was on his way to having, just a great lifestyle. Okay. And you can do the same thing. So the steps to cutting your work hours in half and getting your life back. Step 1 is to free up 1 day a week. If you can't do 1 day a week in the next 30 days, free up half a day. Okay. Start somewhere. Okay. Quit early on Fridays or quit early on Wednesdays. Figure out what you got to do to get off your plate so you can quit early or take that day off. Step 2, free up another day. Follow the same process. Step 3, wash, rinse, and repeat. I have taken so many dealers through this process. I've had dealers go from working 7 days a week to 4. This process works. Okay, it does take time. It's not something you're going to do overnight. It's a process. Generally, 6 to 12 months, most dealers can get to the point where their life is totally transformed by following this process. Okay, so it works. I'll just give you some case studies here, testimonials. Jerome was working 60 to 70 hours a week. I'm now working less than 40, and I have time to spend with my family. It changed my life. Craig said that the less I work, the more I make. He was working 6 or 7 days a week, dark to dark. Now he works less than 35 hours a week, and his revenue increased 50% 2 years in a row. Whoops. And I'm sorry, guys, this thing's wanting to go ahead without me. My wife and I are building our dream home. Dan Kennedy said, Costa Rica, blended drinks on the beach with my wife, 25 years. Thanks for the motivation to let our store work for us rather than us working for the store. Craig, this is Kurt. I'm taking weekends off to travel with my family. It's finally happening for me. And Jay said, my wife and I went to Cabo, our first vacation in years. Okay. All right. So with what we've covered today, you guys have the tools to take this and run with it. Okay. Remember the steps. Hopefully you were taking notes, and remember the 5 steps. Okay. You're going to identify your big rocks. You're going to identify tasks you can get off your plate. You're going to delegate those tasks. You're going to do training and accountability to hold the people, so that you have confidence with the walkaway power that you work so hard to achieve. Okay. Some dealers like the idea of getting my help. Love to do that for you. I do have a 12-month success coaching program. Real quickly, how that works is month one is we do a blueprint day. We spend an entire day. We take what we've done in this hour, but we expand it to a day. We really dig deep and we do an analysis of where your business is at right now, where your time's being wasted. Before the blueprint day, I have our dealers do the 1 week task journal. Okay, so that when we sit down for our blueprint day, we're really able to dig in and find out what we can move around, how we can get your time freed up. Then after that, we meet once a month for a Zoom call to troubleshoot, problem solve, keep you on track to reach your goals. Okay, if that's something you're interested in, just give us a call at support at Flooring Success Systems, or go to flooringsuccesssystems.com. We do have a discount for Roomvo clients, a $500 discount good through November. So just mention that you saw the Roomvo webinar, and we'd love to pass that along to you. Okay, Brandon, that I think we're about there. If we want to open it up to Q&A.
Absolutely. I'll let some questions come in if anyone has any. And I'm just going to wrap up on my end here while that happens. So first of all, thank you always, Jim, for taking the time to speak to us. We've been busy on our end, formulating sort of our plan for success, our blueprint for success in 2022. And I'm super excited to announce today that we are committing to doubling down on these Roomvo University webinars next year. They're actually going to evolve. Jim and I are going to co-host at least 6 webinars that are going to feature industry experts from across the board, and we're going to pick their brains, and we're going to do some deep dives into some really cool fields like digital marketing, fields that are really being talked about today. And we're going to bring some experts in now to speak to you guys and give you guys a chance to pick their brains as well. We have an insane number of product improvements on the horizon, the vast majority of which were actually brought to us by you through your requests. My team hears from you guys daily, and we want to keep hearing what is working, but I actually want to hear what isn't working. It's the only way that we get better, and we are constantly improving the product. So don't hold anything back. We're a company that likes to learn, and the only way we do that is from you. And you don't have to wait that long for some of these. If you're going to Surfaces in February, please come to our booth because we have some pretty crazy things on the near horizon. But before that, before the holiday season, you're going to get a couple of emails in the coming weeks. Some massive suppliers have come on board very recently, and you're about to get some big upgrades to your visualizer before the holiday season. So stay tuned with that. And as a final note, I will turn it over, Jim, just to make sure that your contact info is there. I can't thank you guys enough for joining today. I can't thank Jim and Jolynn, his wife, enough. They put in a crazy amount of effort behind the scenes, and my team over here at Roomvo, they make my job incredibly easy. So just a big thank you all around, because this literally doesn't happen without you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. You and I talked, Brandon, about 6 weeks ago, and we decided to expand Roomvo University. I'm honored that to be a part of it and to help, and we're going to have a lot of good guests from across the flooring industry, well-known people, trainers, and leaders in the industry. So that's going to be very cool. Yeah, I'm just excited about that. We're gonna make 2022 awesome.
100%. Michael actually has a question here for us. Brandon, I wanted to ask, how do we get more details for some of the features that are available for Roomvo? Reach out to me, reach out to your Roomvo rep, whoever invited you today to the webinar. The team here is huge now supporting retailers. So whoever your contact is at Roomvo, reach out and they'll give you the whole gambit. I know there's a lot today, but yeah, we're excited to be able to provide that all to you. And let me preface it also by saying, after we go through those features, if there's something that you need and that we didn't have today, that we don't have today, tell us. We are working on things constantly. So please tell us. We listen. Okay. I think that's all. Thank you guys so much for attending today. we will speak soon.
By the way, I had the wrong phone number up there. It is correct now. I changed it on the fly, so we're all set. And love to talk to anybody. Michael says he's interested in talking. Love to, Michael. Just reach out and we'll chat. So thank you again. I'm honored to be here, and we'll see you on the next one, Brandon.
Speak soon. Bye, Jim.